River stands in the shutter room and watches the door to opposite's room through the cracked open door. If they need to pull up their mask to see the door crack, they should. When this door opens, River walks through the word-burning room while the scene is in session. They gather the tidal wave guest from their seat in the room of black tears. Perhaps they say, "Come this way." They lead them into the mannequin room. "Close the door behind us," they instruct, gesturing. They lead the guest carefully down the aisle in the dim light to the cleansing room. River takes their position behind the chair of the cleansing room and instructs, "Be seated." River picks up the water jars and explains, "This room is here, and I'm here to help you clear your head." During the first sloshes, River lets the guests see the jars and doesn't hold them too close to their head, so as to prevent them from jumping in surprise or feeling unsafe. "So if there are any thoughts in there, my advice to you would be to just kind of let them float away." The performer may have a sense here of the pace of the show and whether they're running ahead of the cast or behind them. The performer will always be able to hear the actions of the other cast members, such as Annis opening doors to prepare for their guest, or Little Jean collecting their guest and bringing them back. Over the course of many shows, the performer may develop a sense that their guest in the room with them needs to be slowed or rushed. The performer can time the ASMR jars slower or faster, depending on their intuition. After 45 to 90 seconds of jar sloshing, River asks, "Next, how about we play a little game?" River extends a pair of fingers into the air in front of the guest and begins drawing a star. "In this game, I draw a picture with my finger. I draw it on your back, and you try to feel it and guess what I'm drawing. Up for it?" The guest will likely agree. River tap draws gentle rain on the back of the guest. After a few repetitions of the image and after the guest guesses, they explain, "It's rain, washing away what you no longer need, washing away suffering, but not its wisdom, washing your body, your mind, your heart." River pauses. A second drawing. River draws a curving river down the guest's spine. "What did I draw?" River can draw it a second time. After the guessing is done, "It's a river, which is also my name. And this river I'm drawing is filling you back up with clean, pure, simple water." River pauses. "One more." River makes horizontal waves, the symbol of the ocean surface. "What did I draw?" River can draw it once more. "It's the ocean. You are an ocean, vast, deep. I am an ocean, ancient, alive. We are an ocean." River carefully walks around the chair and in front of the guest. River takes the pillow from the basket, sets it in front of the guest, and kneels upon it, taking care to give their dress enough slack so that they'll be able to reach ahead of them and reach toward the locker. They put the basin in front of the guest's feet. They pick up the jug and announce, "Room 4, Redemption. River pours the hot water from the jug into the basin. They retrieve the soap flask from the glowing green locker. They uncork the flask, making visually pleasing, intentional gestures wherever possible. River pours a little soap onto the top of their hand, smells it, allows the guest to smell it, and then sloshes a little into the water. River mixes the soap and water with their hands using crisscrossing U shapes. At this point, River dramatically removes their mask. The performer's face is revealed for the first time in the show. This will help the performer to see the carbon tear. They make meaningful eye contact with the guest. River carefully places their mask on the basket handle. If the tear is beneath the guest's eyeglasses, River has the option of requesting, "Remove your glasses and hold them in your hand." After the tear is washed and dried, they can instruct the guest to put their glasses back on. River begins to sing the first verse as they slowly lift the washcloth by its upper edge. As they sing this first verse, they lower the cloth into the water, raise it as it drips, wring it, and raise it to the guest's face, cleaning, wetting, and beginning to remove the charcoal.
I forgot about that night. I forgot the reason I was right. I forgot to hold you tight. Oh, my silly mind.
River discards the wet cloth in the pail. River wraps a dry second cloth around their hand. River rubs away the carbon tear. You need to apply more force than you might think to make it disappear. During this process, River sings their second verse.
I forgot to make a plan. I forgot how many years I am. I forgot to hold your hand. Oh, my silly mind.
River discards the second cloth into the pail. River takes the tea tree oil out of the glowing locker and announces, "According to custom, I now anoint your forehead with oil. Do I have your consent?"
Yes.
If the guest consents, River uncaps the oil, turns it upside down onto their index and middle finger, shakes out some splashes of oil, and then anoints the guest's forehead with 2 finger presses. O-T. O-B. At this point, the performer has a lyrical choice. Their more intimate option is "kiss and make it better." The less physical lyric is "time will make it better." Some feedback about BOTO indicates that when the gender dynamic is a male performer and female guest, that the less intimate choices are preferred. The performer may use their discretion. Bring your right hand a little forward and a little down.
Kiss and make it better. Kiss and make it better. Kiss and make it better. Make it better.
After that first repetition, River asks, "Do you happen to like to sing?" River handles the answers much like Lycra. If they say yes, "I'm going to sing that part of my song again, and if you could sing each line back, I'd very much like it." If the guest doesn't sing, but you can speak, and so on, This moment is a little bit of a joke because the question has already been asked by the same performer. River notes, I'm going to dry your right hand in a moment, but first I'll wash your left as we sing.
Kiss and make it better.
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 Make it better.
Make it better. That was it. Thank you. And now I dry your hands as I sing. Drying the right hand.
I forgot to wind my watch.
Drying the left hand.
I forgot our secret hiding spot.
Clasping the two hands together with the cloth.
I forgot the bombs we dropped. Oh, my silly mom.
River pours the basin water into the pail. River announces, now you have a choice. You may visit the restroom, or you can keep going. If the guest visits the restroom, River removes the doorstop and waits. If it's a solo guest, River must wait with them, although they can sometimes work on their performance while they wait. For example, River can set up 2 chairs in their room rather than 1. They can also interact with the next guest that may be waiting for them in the shutter room, telling them, just a moment. If River is working with 2 guests and only one needs the restroom, they can set up the other guest with the password window recording and leave the vestibule door open, or they can set the guest up with the carrots and recording. The tidal wave guest is led into the vestibule. Annis is going to come for you, and while you wait, listen to a little history of the building. While they explain, River opens and closes the password window to draw the guest's attention to it as the centerpiece of the story. River clicks the password window's hidden button, causing the recording to play. They close the vestibule doors and go fetch the whirlpool guests. If River is running early, the shutter room will be empty. If there are 2 guests going through the whirlpool path tonight, River ducks back into the cleansing room and prepares the chairs to accept 2 guests. There are pieces of tape on the floor to help with chair positioning. River peeks through the crack in the door of the word-burning room and repeats the pickup procedure of the tidal wave guest. If River is running late, Wick will have already deposited their guests in the shutter room upon the chair and stool. Between the tidal wave guest and the next guests, the performer checks the survey, which the clerk likely stashed in their basket. In the answers section for question 4, the clerk circled the names of 1 or 2 aquatic creatures. For example, maybe a sea turtle and dolphin are circled. Amid the ASMR jar sloshes, River can throw in a line like, perhaps these simple water sounds make you feel a little like a sea turtle or a dolphin. When performing for a pair of guests, the guests are seated in the 2 chairs in the cleansing room. Guest A and then guest B receives the jar sloshing sounds, 1 guest at a time. Before each guest receives the jar ASMR, River instructs them. Now I'm going to have you close your eyes and just listen. Guest A receives the rain back drawing. As River explains the answer, they demonstrate the rain drawing on guest B. The cleansing room is a tight space, and River is also masked, and so the performer should be careful to not hit the guest's legs or feet as they slowly cross back and forth. Guest B receives the river back drawing. As River explains the answer, they demonstrate the river drawing on guest A. Guest A receives the ocean back drawing. River draws the ocean on guest B's back as they explain the answer. River then sets up the pillow and basin in between the two guests. Whichever guest has the carbon tear on their face is washed first. Their tear is wiped away and their face is dried. Then River switches to the other guest. They wash that guest's hands. In the case that long hair, a face mask, or shadows are covering the black tear, River may have to ask the guests which one has the tear. Guest A gets the first dab of oil on the forehead, OT, and then the other guest gets the second dab, OB. After the whirlpool guest scene, River leads them into the waiting room. "It's an old place, isn't it?" they comment. "Requires a lot of work. I'm sure you can imagine." River suddenly changes their tone, speaking more quickly and comically. "Speaking of work, since you're here already, would you be up for pitching in and helping us with the effort?"
I guess.
"Great, that's very generous of you. It's office work. Is that within your skill set?" Excellent. River retrieves the glass bucket, peelers, and carrots from the lower desk drawer. "Have a seat here. You can start with these carrots. Peeling these would help us put a nice dent in all this work. Can you do that?" River opens the drawer and places the Walkman in front of the guest. "We have a little instruction manual in here. It's kind of an audiobook. Oh, and not just the outside of the carrots.
No?
As much as possible. Got it?"
Yeah.
"Thank you very much from all of us. We really appreciate it." River presses play as they depart from the desk. River retrieves the undertow guests from the room of black tears. The scene proceeds identically to the previous instructions for a pair of guests. The undertow guests are dropped off in the vestibule to wait for Anis and listen to the password window, just like the tidal wave guest. The only difference is River is going to need to click the password window twice. The first click stops the previous track from playing. The second click resets it. River heads back to the cleansing room. They change the track to the ramp instrumental. They lower the volume to silence. Dressed in their costume and taking their Bluetooth basket with them, they discreetly walk through the gym, being mindful to not walk into the drum or the gong stand while walking in the dark with their mask on. The performer enters the ramp room, goes to the top of the ramp, and begins preparing to receive their guest.